One of the biggest problems you'll face on a weight loss journey is dealing with other people. So recently I was browsing Reddit and this story popped up. Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law she can't bring her own food to family dinner and not to talk about junk food around my kids? So this story popped off immediately, became super controversial, and then it was quickly deleted. But thankfully, I already had my own screenshot, so I took that as a sign to make this into a video. And I hope you guys like this video because sometimes these stories are so good. I love reading them. I read them all the time. And I feel like it could be a fun new way for us to talk about health, weight loss, nutrition, discipline, willpower through the drama of these stories. So let's get into it. I host a weekly family dinner at my house. It's me, my husband, our two daughters, 6 and 9, my mother-in-law, and my sister-in-law with her husband. My husband and I are heavier. We've always been bigger, we're healthy, and at this point in our lives, we are okay with our bodies. Our girls are average size for their age and have a normal, healthy relationship with food. My sister-in-law and her husband are very into fitness. They go to the gym every morning, they track macros, obsessed with protein. I personally find it a bit obsessive, but it's their choice and not my business. Getting a lot of information about everyone's weight at the table. Okay, so I guess we can already tell where this is going. Obviously, I've already read it, so I know where it's going. Okay, so we have a weekly family dinner happening at OP's house. She's the host, and her husband's side of the family is coming over to eat. You got grandma, her husband's sister, and her husband's sister's husband. Every single week, they bring their own food in Tupperware containers and heat it up at my house instead of eating what I make. I usually make pasta or something similar because it's easy when cooking for a group. They say my food doesn't fit their macros and they want to stay on track. I mean, right away, that's reasonable to me. We'll get more into it after, but we are talking about a weekly family dinner. It's really not a holiday or a special event. It's just family time. If you're having something that's happening every single week, that is going to take you off track. And personally, if I'm going to go off track once per week, I would like it to be a meal of my choosing and not just something that a family member made. Once a week is actually quite a bit of time. I know some people might think, oh, it's just one meal, but in reality, it's 52 meals in a year. If someone is going to have 52 meals in a year that don't properly fit their macros, I feel like maybe they would want to choose those meals, especially if you're super into fitness, you're super locked in. They said that they go to the gym every single day. If they're that locked in, I feel like that is even more meals for them to give up to family dinner. These people just want to stay on track already. It's not rude to me at all. Sorry, OP. I am literally just not on your side already. And pasta in particular, I really get it, but back to the story. I've asked them before if they could either eat beforehand or not bring food into my house because it feels rude to cook for people who won't eat it. They kept doing it anyway, and I eventually let it go to keep the peace. At the last dinner, my oldest daughter asked why her aunt and uncle bring their own food. My sister-in-law said to stay healthy. My daughter then asked why they couldn't eat what we were eating, and my sister-in-law replied that she can't eat junk. Okay, that was definitely rude. I feel like I probably wouldn't say that to someone's children unless you fed me like KFC and McDonald's every single week and I assumed that that's what you guys were eating. Then maybe I would cross that line. But other than that, that was definitely rude. However, I don't know about you, but I am really, really wondering what exactly is being served for dinner because she said she's making pasta and there are a lot of ways to pasta. Not all that I would consider to be junk. Most of them I wouldn't consider to be junk, but there are many, many ways to turn pasta into an extremely high calorie junk food meal. Just ask the Cheesecake Factory. They manage to have several pastas on their menu that are like 2,000 calories, 1,700 calories, 1,900 calories. With pasta, there's just so many opportunities for lots of calories, lots of fats, not a lot of protein typically unless you go out of your way to make it so. So I'm curious exactly what they're eating for dinner. And perhaps we're missing a little bit of context here. I didn't say anything in the moment, but I was furious. Now my daughter is asking if our food is junk and if she should be worried about eating unhealthy things. I absolutely do not want my kids growing up afraid of food or thinking normal meals are bad. I do agree that with kids, you have to be careful with how you talk about food And the best thing I think that you can possibly do to help a kid have a healthy relationship with food is simply just lead by example, eat healthy food, cook healthy food yourself. And that's really it. After they left, I called my sister-in-law and told her that she either eats what I make, eats beforehand, or doesn't come at all. And that she is never to talk about food like that around my children again. She said, okay, then we just won't come. Some of my friends say I was too harsh and I should have handled it more gently. I feel like I'm protecting my kids and setting a boundary in my own home. There is so much to unpack here, but let's start with the am I the asshole thing. The first part of her question was, am I the asshole if I tell my sister-in-law she can't bring her own food to family dinner? And on that count, to me, you are the asshole, yes. Because question, okay, why are you making pasta every single week if your guests won't eat it? Martha would literally hit you if she found out you were hosting a dinner every single week where you didn't make something that your guests actually liked. Like, maybe I have strong views about hosting, but I feel like if you're having 2 out of 3 people over every single week and they're not eating what you make, you shouldn't be mad at them. It's sort of a you thing here. I think the question is, did OP actually ever try to make anything that her sister-in-law and her husband would actually eat? That's the question for me. Because it's one thing if she has these really extreme dietary restrictions where it's not even worth it to try. It's another thing if OP just doesn't care and she's just making pasta because it's the easiest thing to make. I feel like in almost all scenarios, anyone who would absolutely insist that you can't bring your own food to a situation like that where the meal is pasta and it doesn't work for you, I think that person is the asshole. If you're like me, a meal like this is not only going to be higher in calories on average for a portion that would be satisfying, but it also will leave you hungry hours later. That's my experience with pasta, especially plain pasta. So not only did you eat 700 calories of pasta, but you may find that you now need to eat again, or you may just find that you're snackier, or you might get more of the new popular term food noise after eating a meal like this, which is largely just carbohydrates, not much protein, not much fiber, not much else. But yeah, back to the story because it doesn't stop there. So at first, most of the commenters were on OP's side. Everyone was saying she was not the asshole because the sister-in-law's comments were so rude that it really overshadowed anything else. But then OP started commenting back. She started adding a little bit more context to the situation. And then as she did, everyone in the comments unanimously turned on her. Now, I mentioned earlier that this post was actually deleted and her account was suspended. And I don't know why that would happen. I don't know if it was because of fake story. I know that's a big problem on Reddit right now, but it didn't feel fake to me. So maybe that's why it was deleted, or maybe OP just couldn't take the heat. But I'm telling you this again because all of OP's comments are deleted. They're totally gone. You cannot see what she said. So you have to learn what she said through everyone else's comments. And thankfully, they really provide the additional backstory. But let's start from the top. Here's how things started out. Not the asshole because she labeled your food as junk. She could have just said they were on special diets right now. I do hope your children are getting fresh fruits and vegetables though. Lifetime habits are formed now. Your sister-in-law was disrespectful. If you are hosting a meal and they don't want to eat it, they can stay home. I totally disagree with that. Sister-in-law was rude. However, what, you guys can never have family dinner ever because they eat a high protein diet and you don't? That's insanity to me. Like, what if you had vegan family members? They're just cut. That's it. It doesn't make any sense. I definitely agree that it was out of line for the sister-in-law to say, but as someone who would also not partake in a pasta meal as a low carber, I wouldn't want to feel left out of my family gathering. There has to be a compromise. Exactly. Compromise. If it's a one-off meal once a year with your Italian grandma and she wants to make you some feast and you don't eat it because you're on a diet, I think that's rude. However, if it is a weekly meal, at that point, it's different. Things are different. It is definitely a lot of meals per year if you're actively on a diet. That can majorly hurt your progress. And it's not even something that you chose, which is kind of one of the worst elements. Having an unplanned meal every single week that's totally under the control of someone else that you didn't pick, no, that sounds awful. But even if you're not on a diet, it's a lot of meals, even if you're just someone who really cares about what they consume. And I feel like this is such a common issue. People don't understand, particularly family, when you don't eat a certain way anymore, when you have strong rules around what you do and don't consume and when you do and don't consume it. It's a hurdle a lot of people are going to have to deal with. People are going to think it's silly. They're going to think it's excessive. They will judge you. They'll accuse you of having issues with food. And one of the worst elements of it is they often feel judged. Your family feels judged just because you are making different decisions for your health. Because if you're not eating their food, then you're kind of saying, oh, I think that your food is unhealthy, or I think that your food is fattening. Like, that's the way some people hear it. And most people don't take kindly to that, as is happening in this exact situation. Maybe the sister-in-law should host sometimes, then she can serve what she wants. I'd be willing to bet money that if sister-in-law hosted and cooked, OP would not eat a single thing made. Judging from some of OP's comments, this is entirely correct. Now remember, we cannot see OP's comments, they're not there, but we're about to get a feel. Do you ever cook things they like? Do you rotate who cooks and hosts? Does everyone bring something, or are you always the one hosting and cooking? Does the family make it a big deal if they don't show up? If they're on a special diet and bring their own food, I don't really see what the problem is. They aren't making a big deal of it. I'm not sure why you are. They're coming to spend time with family. We have a family friend who has dietary restrictions and usually brings her own food to everything so she doesn't risk getting sick. It's no big deal if no one makes it a big deal. I'm not sure why you're so offended. You brought up your weight and size, and I wonder if you feel judged and that's why you're so offended. It doesn't sound like they're being judgmental or condescending, they're just working hard at achieving health goals. Comment removed by moderator with 986 downvotes. So obviously this was OP's comment. You can see the one above it, 429 upvotes. The one below it, 103 upvotes. 986 downvotes. That all sounds like normal, delicious food, LOL. Sounds fucking delicious. Why not? The more OP mentions this non-edible dish, the more I am thinking that is definitely gonna be dinner tonight. Sweet potato, grilled chicken, and beans sounds like a completely normal and tasty meal. Okay, what's the real issue here? So it turns out that OP thinks that chicken breast, beans, and sweet potato are a completely non-edible and not normal meal. I mean, I've been an unhealthy person in my life. I've been addicted to junk food. I've known people addicted to junk food. I don't know that many people who also think that just like a totally normal meal like that is like absolutely revolting. In another comment, it was also revealed that OP said if she tried to make that for dinner, then no one would eat that at her house. So this raises the question, what exactly is OP and her family eating if this is a completely disturbing, repulsive meal? Like, if you are actively hostile to meals that are not pasta, then that is actually extremely concerning. Sister-in-law was indeed rude, but it looks like it's been building up for a while. OP refuses to do potluck, which would be cheaper. Kind of weird. Like, I don't know why would you be against potluck? She serves the exact same carb-heavy meal, spaghetti and sausage with bread, no vegetables, every week. She won't cook anything they can eat. She refuses to have the weekly dinner anywhere else because she says it's easier than traveling with the kids who are 6 and 9. Sister-in-law is bringing their own dinner because they've clearly been prioritizing spending time with her brother, nieces, and mother. That's a good thing, right? OP has proven herself to be an unpleasant and rude host. And this comment got 3.6k upvotes and a bunch of awards. So clearly everyone was fully on this person's side. That same Redditor, lemon_icing, then quote replied to OP's original comment, so we do get to see in her own words what she wrote. For those giving out good suggestions like switching up hosting or changing the weekly meal to potluck, shining a light on OP's thought on that. OP, you're the asshole. I was the one who decided to host, and it's easier at my house with the kids. If they brought their bland sweet potato, chicken bean, yogurt bowls, no one here is eating that, and it would go to waste and be thrown out. I made a pot of pasta with red sauce, sausages, bread to dip in the sauce. Pretty standard, nothing crazy. All they eat is roasted sweet potatoes and grilled chicken with yogurt sauce. I'm not cooking that crap. We don't rotate. Having in here is easiest with the kids. Usually mother-in-law will bring bread and dessert, and sister-in-law just brings her own food. I would cook things they like, but I'm not having people over and serving them sweet potato, grilled chicken, and bean and yogurt. No one else would eat that. It's a big deal because I'm hosting and spending money and time cooking. At least they could do is eat it. Damn, she like literally brought up the chicken and sweet potatoes and beans like 4 times. So yeah, OP was definitely the asshole all along. Not only is she not willing to compromise at all, but she serves the same meal every single week. There's no vegetables and no one's allowed to bring a vegetable. I feel like that's just concerning. Then the only protein is sausage, which, hey, I like sausage, but guess what? It's a highly processed meat. And she's making the same meal over and over and over again, knowing that half her family won't eat it. Make it make sense. Also, seriously, we need to say again, what is OP eating in a week if she's disgusted by those 3 things? I don't even think people on my 600-pound life are actively disgusted by 3 completely normal foods. And also, again, yes, sister-in-law's comment was originally really rude, but I do agree with the commenters that this was probably brewing for a while. OP didn't tell us any rude things that the sister-in-law or her husband had said prior to this moment, and I feel like she would have mentioned them if there were tons of little digs about their lifestyle prior to that moment. But it seemed like it was just that one boiling point that had been probably brewing and brewing and brewing for a while. And who's to say that OP was not the one making rude comments? She was clearly judging her sister-in-law and her husband for their healthy lifestyle. So many layers of OP being extremely inconsiderate, plus judgmental, and with a little sprinkle of like power tripping too, which is my least favorite thing ever. That one line from earlier rubbed me the wrong way so bad. Eat what I make or don't come. I'm not coming now. Thank you. Actually, physically, I cannot come now. Does anyone else have that? Whenever anyone demands something of me really rudely, it's like every bone in my body is like, well, I literally can't do that now. Sorry. I physically cannot. She says they should eat beforehand because it feels rude to cook for people that won't eat it. But if they eat beforehand, wouldn't she still be cooking for people that won't eat it? True. Like, what is that reasoning? It's so her kids don't ask her questions about her sister's meals that she's not prepared to answer. She doesn't want to admit to herself that her diet is not healthy and she is not teaching her kids good eating habits if she's not serving vegetables and or a salad with dinner. So yeah, I think everyone was right. It turns out that OP was the one who was judgmental and basically unnecessarily offended by her sister-in-law's healthy lifestyle for no reason other than she may be struggling with her own unhealthy lifestyle. You get mad at her for calling your food junk, but call her food crap? High pot, meat kettle. At least she serves veggies with her food. From your initial post, I was picturing seaweed, seeds, and protein powder. Her meal sounds like what I eat routinely. I also eat pasta, but in moderation, and always with a vegetable, because that's literally how you make it filling. I swear this whole food noise thing, constantly hearing about food noise since Ozempic is constantly marketing it. I feel like a lot of that is truly just diet created. I know for me, plain pasta equals food noise later on, equals me eating more food later on than if I had a more balanced meal. Everything is about you. It's convenient for you to host. You cook what you like and what's easy for you. Sister-in-law offended you, etc. Why don't you think about someone else? What other people like to eat in cooking variety? Letting your sister-in-law host so you don't always have to cook and buy the food. And considering that you do feed your daughter junk and your sister-in-law was just tired of watching silently as you develop your bad eating habits in a child, you're the asshole for being a hypocritical, selfish, unwelcoming host with a closed mind and an unhealthy view on food. You did your sister-in-law a favor by giving her an out to attend that event. Okay, this next story, you wouldn't think would be dramatic, and yet it somehow turns out to be, and also it's extremely relatable. I lied about eating prunes for absolutely no reason. Yesterday, I casually mentioned to my partner that I'd eaten 2 prunes when we were going through what we ate that day. I just added it to my list of foods like a normal, truthful adult. I was like, I hit my fiber goals. Do prunes have that much fiber? We'll look after. Later, I asked if he wanted a prune. The bag was unopened. I was at a loss. He stared at it and then at me and said, "Who lies about that?" I honestly did not have an answer. I wasn't hiding anything. I didn't think I was lying, and actually, I internalized that I had eaten 2 prunes after tracking the future snack. I think I just really wanted to be the type of person who hits their fiber goal, and my mouth got ahead of my actions. I even logged it in my calories. Anyway, this is a reminder that it's very easy to lie to yourself when you're tracking food. Logging food you intend to eat does not make it real. The prunes have to actually be eaten. Aspirational prunes do not count. Edit, I appreciate the people who found this relatable. If you didn't, no worries. I did not expect prunes to inspire this level of moral concern. Please stop DMing me about my integrity around testicular looking fruit. Before we get to that last part, let's start from the top. This kind of thing is so relatable and so common. I guess we'll just call it the secret eater effect. Now, currently there is no official title for our tendency to lie to ourselves when it comes to food. But I truly believe that one day there will be. I think that this will be a specific cognitive bias given specifically to food. I really think that, because this is seriously so insanely common that it deserves its own name. I mean, the entire show, Secret Eaters, is built on this idea. The idea that for whatever reason, we lie to ourselves when it comes to food. The clip from that show that immediately pops into my head when we're talking about this is it's an opening clip of a woman talking about how she never gets takeaway or fast food or whatever, and then in the background is literally a pizza box like directly behind her.
You know, we try not to have takeaways, eat out, that kind of thing.
Now, obviously in that show, they're often lying to themselves about eating more than they say they are. They're often eating way more than they think they are. And in this case, this person actually ate less than they thought they did. But I bet you the same mechanism is at play. We have some blind spots when it comes to how our brain remembers our behavior, particularly when we want to view ourselves in a particular light. For example, if we view ourselves as people who are healthy eaters, or we eat healthy most of the time, if we genuinely think we're doing great on our diet, then our brain might conveniently forget that chocolate bar that we grabbed on the way out of the house and then snuffled while at work. Or in OP's case, she specifically said that she viewed herself as some healthy fiber eater, right? She wanted to see herself as the type of person who met their fiber goals. So then, given the chance, her brain mentally checked off eating aspirational prunes she hadn't actually eaten yet. It really is just too easy to lie to ourselves about what we eat. There's tons of science on it. Overall, we are just terrible at tracking what we consume. Yet, many of the commenters did not seem to agree. I guess they'd never watched Secret Eaters before, because look at what they said. Therapy. I don't know that it's that deep, but okay. Lying to yourself is one thing. Lying to others is another. Weird post. It's two prunes. Maybe I wrote this too seriously. I was mostly laughing about the ability to convince myself I actually did something I didn't do. I thought it was relatable. My bad. Yeah, like, this is likely a cognitive bias, not an intentional lie. What? Did you not read it? I read it too, but had the exact same reaction. This is ... strange. Not judging the OP, but I would keep tabs on this kind of behavior or thought process. Could be a sign of some underlying issue that needs to be worked out. Causal, thoughtless lying to oneself or others is usually a red flag. Dude, what? Damn, bro, it is just not that serious. Like, these comments are so unhinged. TBH, my ADHD ass will forget I've eaten something or invent something I've not eaten all the time. This was just funny that OP got it proven to them that they hallucinated the prunes. Like, she pre-tracked them and then she mentally got excited to be the type of person who eats enough fiber. Her brain went, check, behavior complete. It's seriously not whatever these guys are making it out to be. I will be that guy. It was not a lie since you didn't know. It was a mistake, an oversight, a brain fart, but not a lie. Exactly. People are taking this so seriously. Meanwhile, I busted out laughing at it. You think some people are the second coming of Christ. If you aren't literally perfect, you are a psychopath and need therapy/meds/prison immediately. Thank you. I did not expect the commenters to get so weird over this post. In my opinion, it was a very relatable thing. If you are trying to track your food, your biggest enemy is you. Study after study says we almost always do it wrong. Even experts, dietitians, do it wrong. We, for whatever reason, make errors when it comes to tracking food. Yet, interestingly, tracking what you eat is still one of the most useful things you can do to change your eating behavior according to science. For example, this study showed that people who tracked the most had the most weight loss success, whereas people who tracked the least at the least. So even though we don't tend to get it right all the time, tracking is very, very helpful. And actually, if you're interested in the behavioral science behind it, this might be because food tracking is considered to be a self-monitoring behavior. Self-monitoring is a behavior change tool that you can use to change anything that you want. It involves observing what you do and recording what you do, your actions. In this case, we're talking about, of course, what you eat. And this then increases your awareness of your behavior. What you eat, when you eat, how much you eat. It's a way to understand yourself better, and just shining this little light on things can really help you change your behavior. Oh yeah, and one other thing I wanted to mention was the prune thing. I don't think I've ever eaten a prune, but I know prunes are this food that we classically associate with old people and bathroom regularity. But this post made me curious to take a quick look at prunes, and this is what I found. So in 2 prunes, the amount of dietary fiber is 1.4 grams. And I mean, it's not bad. If you had a lot of prunes, this would actually be quite a bit of fiber per gram. However, if you ate 100 grams of prunes, right, that would be 7 grams of fiber, which is awesome, but it would also be 240 calories. And something like 10 prunes, which is a lot of prunes to consume in one sitting. So it's decent, and I don't know exactly what type of fiber that is. It could be particularly good types of fiber, I'm not sure. However, there's definitely more efficient ways to hit your fiber goals. And I think if you want to hit your fiber goal with something sweet, raspberries are the answer. Per 100 grams of raspberries, you also get 7 grams of fiber, but it's only 53 calories. And I think that 100 grams of raspberries is a more realistic serving of raspberries than it is of prunes. Also, major life hack I need to share, frozen raspberries. Those little cartons of fresh raspberries are, number 1, expensive, and number 2, inconsistent. I live on an island now, as you guys know, and I've never had to struggle with this in my life, but fruits and vegetables are now inconsistent when I go to the grocery store. I'll go there and sometimes the thing that I want is not there. Or it will be there, but it'll be like really, really like banged up and just not good quality at all. And so I usually have to I have to change my strategy when I go to the grocery store, which led me to frozen raspberries. Frozen raspberries not only taste good frozen, which you can't really say for all fruit. Some fruit is only good blended up, but frozen raspberries can actually be really delicious just as they are frozen, but also they're the same price year round and they're extremely consistent. And frozen fruit retains most of its vitamins because it's flash frozen when it comes off the vine or however raspberries are grown. So yeah, life hack, frozen raspberries. I get the Costco organic ones. They're perfect. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this new style of video. This first one may have been a little bit clunky because I've never done this format before, but I'm hoping to bring it in more because I think it would just be fun. Hope you enjoyed, hope you got something out of it, and I will see you in the next one.